So actually, I have a Cane Corso Great Dane that I bought for $500 off of Kijiji, and I bought him because my buddy that I played football with had a dog named Kong. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna name him King. So King and Kong, and that originally kind of got me into big dogs. I had small dogs the whole time, and then I remember I was looking through Kijiji and I found my Borble, Bruce. I found him on there, or like I found like a breeder that bred Borbles, and I'm like, okay. So I did a little research in Borbles and whatever, and then I bought him, and I just fell in love with Borbles. All I could think about, all I could talk about was Borbles, 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 and he started coming into his own, which realistically, now that I know more about Borbles, he's probably not like the ideal type of Borble if you want to go to like what the South Africans think is a Borble. He's not. He's a big boy. He's 205 pounds. Like he's a big boy. But I now that I know about, all I wanted was like, I just wanted a big dog. And then I started looking into it, and I was like, man, I think I want to breed these dogs. And then the breeder I bought him from kind of pushed me to do it. And then I bought a older female from South Africa, and she was already bred. So to a dog in South Africa, Patron Thor. It was Brecker Sandy and Patron Thor. So then I got her, and then she had puppies, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. It was stressful at the first time. Oh man, it was stressful having puppies. So stressful the first time. No idea what I was doing. I was learning, and like we had 10 puppies, all healthy, all went to amazing homes. And then I kind of, as my older male grew and like matured, I realized how like territorial and like aggressive Borble males can be. I'm like, oh my gosh. He would live with my Corso. He lived with my Corso since they were tiny babies, like months old. And then just like a flip of a switch, he's like, nope, don't like him anymore. Didn't want to be with him anymore. And I was like, oh man. So I think they're a very, much like the Neo, they're very hard dogs, very hard headed, difficult to like get training in if you really don't know what you're doing with a large sized dog. They're very stubborn. And then I kind of did some research on the Molossus, and I was like, oh man, like this is a really cool dog. And it's another thing too, it's not just because he became aggressive, it's hard to get imports now through South Africa and stuff. That's where the dog's from. Like if you just have what's in here in Canada and stuff, like you're just going in a circle. You can't bring new blood in. You're just going in a circle, and it's kind of become to a point where it's like, okay, well, I've used all this blood. Now I got to figure out how to get an import just to outcross, because you can keep line breeding, but eventually you keep line breeding, it's going to get too close. So it's hard to get because Canada doesn't allow you to get dogs from South Africa anymore. So it's getting harder and harder to bring in dogs, especially when they're originating in South Africa. And then I looked at the Molossus and I just fell in love with them. Just fell in love with them. I was like, wow, these dogs are amazing. They're just like, I talked to Marcus so many times. He was so helpful on teaching me about them and just getting me all this like information about them. And then I'm like, okay, let's do it. So then I bought my younger female, Izzy. She's now turning 2 in October. So then I got her, and then I'm like, yeah, this is the dog breed. This is it. I just knew. I just knew. And I'm like, okay, this is it. So then I bought this guy that you just saw, Bronx. I bought him shortly after Izzy. And then, and yeah, that was kind of where it spiked. And just now I'm where I am now. I just love them. They're just amazing dogs. It's just, they're everything you want in a big dog. They're big, they're loving, and they're actually, like, in my experience, they're really easy to train. Not hard to like, you teach them something once, they get it like that. They're like not like I actually just taught my this boy how like bite work, bite training. because I wanted to see if they could do it. I want to test their limits. I kind of knew they could do it, but I wanted to see if he could. And usually you start when they're young, but I didn't know I wanted to do that until just recently. So I'm like, you know what? Let's try it. And he got it within a couple of days. He was doing it. Taught him how to bark on point, like get him to bark, and then just he has a word, get it, and he'll bite the sleeve, like no hesitation, and he loves it. It works his brain, stimulation for him. Loves to do it. They love to please you. They love to please you. They live for that.
That's interesting. It's probably that mix of English Mastiff that helps that because Neos are known to be stubborn and aloof and
I have a Neo, and he is like, I love him. I love him, but like you see the different personalities in the two, man. It is crazy how different they are. Like he's like a jumping bean. Like the guy is just nuts. He's nuts. He just like Bronx loves to cuddle. Like he's like he Bronx and like all the Molossus, they're like cuddling pillows. And Neo is like hugging a brick because he doesn't want to. He just likes to run around and just bark and be happy. So we play with them. I mean, I play with them all the time. I love them, but like to get a nice cuddle with them is it's almost impossible sometimes.
yeah, that's the way livestock guardian dogs are. It's only they're like more like cats. It's on their time,
Yeah,
their terms. Yeah,
absolutely, it is.
yeah.
The standard we follow. It was done by Marcus. He created the standard of the Molossus, and we try we make sure that we stay in the standard. But it's not like so much like it is. It's like the male should be this, like they should be about 30 to 33 inches at the withers,
Hmm.
and then 180 to 200 plus. That's kind of the for a male, and then a female should be around 26 to about 28 inches at the withers, and then 160 to plus. And it's not so much like I feel like people see like, oh, this dog doesn't fit the standard, oh, like he's gonna not score as well. Okay, yeah, that definitely plays a part in like showing dogs for sure. If that's what you're going for, if you're going for show dogs. But if you like with the Molossus, it's like if this dog isn't exactly what the standard is, if he's a little under, if he's like just on exactly like 180 pounds, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day because what's behind him transfers into the puppies. It's like just because you have like a dog that's not a ginormous, huge, amazing dog. I mean, they're all amazing, but like not exactly what the standard says doesn't mean that he's not going to produce or she's not going to produce what the Molossus breeder is going for. Well, what I've found is that like it is getting a lot harder, at least here where I'm looking to for like English Mastiffs, for instance. It's getting a lot harder to find like these like because an English Mastiff, like when they were originally, they were gigantic dogs, humongous, like 250 to like 300 pounds. I think the heaviest English Mastiff ever was like 340 pounds. I don't know how true that is, but you know what I mean. And then like now the standard is like 200 to 220, and like they almost look very long legged and lanky. And like that's that if that's what you breed, I'm not here to judge at all. Like that is exact if that's what you breed, absolutely go for it. But in my eyes, it's getting harder to find like these big English mastiffs if you unless you go to like Italy and Germany and stuff. Like there's where they have like huge like the like because like I think the standard is different over there. Think breeds change over time. Breeds change over time, and that's just like different standards come in, and it is what it is. But I personally like the big English Mastiff, like the big, lovey, huge, big skin. Not like too much skin, but like the big face, big head. Like I love that.
Hmm.
I love that.
Hmm. It's a concern of mine. Do you walking that line of too far and you give up any kind of health that you've gained, and or then you go the other direction and lose the type. But how do you guarantee and how do you vision your program as being that one that the impressive looking dogs, but also has health in the mindset?
It's honestly like health testing your dogs before you breed them. Make sure that they're healthy hips, elbows, eyes, OFAs, all that stuff, because that's important to. I mean, obviously, things can come as the dog ages. There's never like a sincere guarantee that things can happen, like cancer, all that stuff. Like, it's just what happens. People get cancer, so it's like, and with keeping the standard is like making sure that you breed, don't breed just to breed. It's looking at the type. Okay, this female has this type. This male has this type. This is going to create a nice happy medium in between. Like my female Elvira, she is literally probably the definition of like a perfect Molossus. Big, not too much skin. She's not like overly huge, but she's not really skinny. She's almost like the perfect Molossus in a sense of like just like what the standard says. And then you take a male that complements her in a way that could like, so like my male moose that I just purchased, his bone size is literally the biggest bone size that I've ever seen. I've never seen I've never seen like a dog with that big of a head and that big of a like bones. I just never have. And I have Molossus and he's gigantic. And then what you kind of do, it's like it's a process. So you breed that to that, and then you go back and you look at that offspring and say, okay, this one needs that, that, and that. And then you take your a male or a female and breed it to that one, and then it's like a build up. It's a build up to a final, like a final what you want them to look like, and then you can run with it. Because I find like Bronx here, he does not have. He's still very young. He probably will get more skin. They don't stop maturing until they're around 3.5, but he doesn't have a lot of skin. Like honestly, slim to like no skin on the sense of like what like a Neo, for instance. And I like that. Like he like doesn't have over skin over the eyes. He's very tight in the face. And I think you take the Moose and Elvira litter, because Moose does have a lot of skin on his eyes, and Elvira does too. But Elvira does, she's tight, but she does have skin. And then you breed that, and then you take an offspring from that, and then breed it to like Bronx, for instance. So you get the tighter face, but not too tight where they start looking like a lab or something, like too tight of a face, like way no jowls whatsoever. So it's just finding that way to make the happy medium wise, because like for bone size I will use my Neo, and but with the Neo you sacrifice too much skin, so your puppies will come up with way too much skin. So it's kind of like finding that you get the offspring, okay, it's really tight faced, okay, then I can breed it to the Neo, and then that'll add a little bit of skin, but it'll also add bone size and chest size and all that stuff. And then English Mastiff also too. You want to like put a little more size on a dog. You bring in like an English Mastiff that is like what to the standard of what I like, and then you breed it to that, and then that will kind of it's always having to go back to like your roots. You know what I mean? And then eventually you'll have enough Molossus where it'll just be like that's you breed that because there's so many of them. There already is so many of them, but you're always gonna have to go back once or twice in the starting of it to get what I like and what to the standard. So it's kind of my view on that.
Sounds like you're conscientious and stuff. I appreciate that. It's
Hmm.
so hard to balance, and sometimes, I think people can have an over reliance on, like you were kind of alluding to, over reliance on health testing, because there is no guarantee in dogs, no matter if it's a racing greyhound or an American Molossus. There's just no guarantees about anything, and
Isn't.
and and health testing to me There's a guy that I like. I think he's a little bit of a fruit loop in a lot of ways as far as his stance. He's a veterinarian that a canine geneticist. He's done a lot of research, and his team has done a lot of research in the UK and Ireland with dogs, and especially dogs that they consider to have extreme morphology or standards. He doesn't value health testing as a strict breeding guideline. He thinks that there's a whole lot of gray area, and he doesn't even like the words health testing because he finds that all you're doing is you're looking for visible genetic disorders. You can't see everything, and you can't prepare if you're just going off of that those papers. You're not preparing for what could happen and what decisions you need to make. And let's say this dog hip scores aren't as good, but everything else about the dog is great. Why wouldn't you breed them, and why would you take them out of the breeding, the
Absolutely.
genetic pool, when they offer so much to it? And he says there's just over reliance on all of that. And his line of thinking is there's too much under reliance on the breed types. He go like you say, he goes farther on the other end that you or I would probably agree with or think is necessary. But at the same time, I like what he says because he's putting things in perspective. And so, you know, I think with dogs like American Molossus and English Bulldogs, they say you can actually put that to a test
Yeah.
and be able to show, hey, I got a dog. I did checked all the boxes, and I'm giving my program the best foot forward, but there's no guarantee into anything. And you have to be prepared if you have the dogs of these types that things could happen. You know what I mean? There's just no two ways about it. We're dealing with crazy genetics, and you know, we're going to do our best, but don't look at it as a guarantee. But I'm going to do my best to put my best foot forward. So yeah, I think we just need a little more levity in health testing, and you know what I mean. And I'm sure that you get a lot of that. Um, how do you deal with some of the skepticism?
So I when I like post dogs, obviously like every time you post like any dog, you're gonna catch some heat from somebody. It's just how it is. People like to behind a screen, they like to give you heat. But if you can go at it in like a more respectful way, like I whenever I like somebody comments or does something at me, I always make a video explaining about why this, why that, because I want it to be more constructive than just me getting angry and saying you don't know anything. Because there's no point. Like what is me getting angry doing for them? It's actually benefiting them because they got me mad. So if I can go at it in like a, I don't really like criticism is actually good, honestly, because then you can go back and actually look and you're like, okay, maybe they're not completely wrong in some aspects. And it's like with the let's say like the bite work that I did with my dog, I caught a lot of heat for that because people are saying you're teaching your dog to be aggressive, you're teaching your dog to fight people, you're teaching your dog to bite people. No, no, you're not. You're teaching your dog to have a guard-oriented instinct, which they already have, but you're just enhancing it. And by them having commands, and you can structurally teach them to protect, not just go nuts every time. Like they already have that in them. When a person knocks at the front door, your dog barks. They're guarding your home. So if you take that and enhance it in training and keep them on commands and stuff, it's basically the same thing, but just in like just teaching them right ways to do it. And then with skepticism, like people tell me, oh, they're big, they're lazy, they're like all those things, right? Just like with any big breed, they say, oh, they're big, they're lazy, they're fat, they're this, but have you ever seen an American Molossus run? They can move. Elvira's quick. She's a big girl and she's quick. And then with the health testing thing is like what I wanted to say earlier is like people talk about bloat a lot, right? And when people talk about like a health guarantee, I see that a lot on breeders and stuff. I don't really want to say I have a good stance on health. I health tested them, but a health guarantee, I can't guarantee you anything. Can't guarantee that the dog is not gonna like bloat. There's no cure for bloat. It happens. There's things you can do to prevent it, but then there's new studies that I hear out that it's not so much on the kibble rolling up. It's like the kibble in the stomach and the stomach balling up and exploding. It's different now. I've heard like from different people. Like it's such a gray area in there that you really can never guarantee things. You just it's everything in life. You can't guarantee anything. Nothing's guaranteed. I can give it the best of my abilities to make sure that this dog is healthy, but accidents, things happen that are unexplained. Why did my dog get this? Come out. Why did my dog die of bloat? I don't know. I can't tell you that. Like it's not a thing that you can just say that, oh, this is why. Because realistically, like people think like the vets obviously do have a pretty good stance on what they know about it. But again, there's always more areas of things that people are like, oh, maybe this is a new thing that we didn't know about. So there's always areas like that. Things that I've learned through like just getting into the big breeds, because the big breeds are more susceptible to bloat than a little dog. It's just because they eat more. And what I do to prevent it and what I tell people is like, when your dog eats, don't let them run for at least like 45 minutes. Keep them in their spaces and let it sit, let it digest. Because 45 minutes or to an hour is kind of like the prime. I find that's what I think, kind of the prime thing to like wait, the prime time to wait. Um, so it's more of like just like educating people because people that's a big fear in people. It's a big fear in people of like what they immediately with a big dog they think bloat. But if you do all these things to prevent it, like don't let them run, don't let them jump. Because like from what I've heard in my time of like hearing about bloat, is like when a dog eats a lot at one time and drinks, and then they run right away, and then they trip, fall, roll, fight, whatever, like play wrestle. Then they roll, and then their stomach just woo, and then it just you have like 15 minutes to get them to a vet and get it done. So it's like to prevent that, I think just when you feed your dog, don't let them go and run right away. Like I don't people feed their dogs like outside and stuff. And sometimes I find that like if the run is too big, they have too much space to run around. So like I try like my dogs have rooms in the house and I feed them in there in the morning and then an hour later I let them out and go. Water is a little bit different. I don't think water is a big it's the water mixed with the food, not the water itself. So they obviously have water you have water out for them in the yard, whatever, where they are, but it's more about the food. Don't feed them a crazy amount and then go like let them run and play or walk them, for instance. Like give them some time to sit and digest their food. Is kind of my stance on it, and that's kind of what I tell people that do purchase a puppy. Like just be mindful of that. It's honestly because like it was the ancient dog that brought the Neo and the English into the world. That fascinated me. And that I didn't even know like I kind of knew that people play around with like creating new breeds and stuff, but I didn't know that like you can like I mean obviously you can do it, but like just by genetics and knowing what you're doing, I find it fascinating that you can bring a dog back. I find it absolutely fascinating. And it's like just how Marcus knows how to like how he did it and like all that stuff. Like it's just fascinating to me that you like have so much knowledge and just like taking your time and bringing back a dog. That's like it's just so fascinating to me and like I want to be a part of this dog coming back and like being the dog that people like around. I want it to be around for another 200, 300, as long as it forever. Like I want to be like there for that. And that's not the only thing. Like I've always liked like English Mastiffs. I always like Neos. And then just to find out that like these are the best of both worlds. So it's like it fascinated me that like how they look, how they are, how and I like size. I like big dogs. I love big dogs. I always have. And just to have that dog, like look at that dog, and I'm like, man, you weigh as much as me, and you're an animal, like you're a dog. That is absolutely insane to me. And just to see that this big of a dog, and to show people have like a with these huge breeds, and like the people look at them and like, oh, scared. Like they're like, okay, no, 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 too big, too big. But then just to show how like they're so sweet. They're like, I can walk Bronx, Moose, Elvira, all these Molossus in the street with people walking by, and they just all they want is pets. They want just pets. When you come to my property, that's a little bit different. But when we're in a mutual setting, all they want is pets, and I just want to like show people that like, hey man, like just because they're huge doesn't mean they're big, intimidating. They're intimidating, yeah, but they're sweet. You don't have to be nervous about a huge dog just because they're the biggest dog you've seen. So it's just cool to like get like breed awareness out there and like show how like good family dogs like excuse me, sorry. It's crazy to see Moose. He's my a big Molossus that I just purchased. He loves kids. Like like a kid, he will literally just lay down. Little tiny babies, like little tiny like 2-year old, 3-year old kids that are just wanting to see a puppy. He'll just sit there and let the kid pet them. Same with Bronx. Like they just like they just love them. Like and it's good to show that like these are great family dogs too. They can live with a family and be exactly everything you want in a dog. They're just huge. So it's great to see. I love that aspect of things, just to see them with kids and see how sweet they are. And I'm like, oh, it warms my heart to see how. And then the parents are smiling ear to ear. They're loving on the dog, and it's what I live for. It's what I love, man.
Talk about like what it's like living with them and how you manage their living space. And
So with like I find is like male and female can be together absolutely. That's no problem. It's honestly just like making sure every dog has their own space to go and decompress. So I strongly believe in that. Like, well, actually, my one female lives with my Corso, but he's fixed. So there's no kind of sex drive there at all. So it's a little different. But I make sure that they have like, depending on their temperament, like my Neo, he stays with my female Elvira, but not at night. They have their own spaces because I want them to be able to decompress and have their own space that know like, okay, this is mine. This is mine. Bronx, he sleeps in my room with me. But you do definitely need to like keep males separate just because like the Molossus is a little bit different because there are Molossus that coexist with other males in the same room and there's no issues. But I personally don't want to test it. I just don't want to. These are huge dogs, and something happens, it's gonna be very hard for me to break it up. The worst one is honestly my Borbal. Like he's separated, but he doesn't like any dogs. Any dog. The only dog he likes is my little Chihuahua. He can live with my Chihuahua. That's the one he stays with during the day. But like since we fixed him, he's calmed down. But like right at the start when I was still using him to breed, oh, like he was like literally the most aggressive dog that I've seen. And it's just it's what they are. It's what they are. They're very hard-headed, territorial. And once they hit that 2-year mark, that's what I was blind to that, and I didn't realize that. And it was okay. This is like same-sex aggression is a thing, and I gotta prevent that very much. And My Neo too. Like my Neo is a very hard headed. Like he does not like other males. But like Bronx doesn't care. Doesn't care. He can see another male and not have an issue. I don't want to test it, but from walking by and seeing the other dogs like bark at him, but he just sits there, doesn't care. He just doesn't have that right now. He's still got 2 years to go. Like he's still got a couple more years to like actually fully mature. But I don't see as much of an aggressive drive in him as I would see in my Neo and Borb per se. So it's just like honestly knowing who can go out with who can stay with who, kind of just built like making sure that it stays like that, having a system, having a routine. Because if you have a routine, it almost just like flows. You don't have to like go, okay, I gotta like make sure that this one, no. But if you have a routine, it's all, every day, all day. You go out with you go out with you, done.
Yeah, it's just part of like if you're a dog person, you put up with stuff like that. If you're
Yep,
not, you just
absolutely.
want one dog, then this lifestyle is not for you.
It's
But
not for everybody.
yeah. So when you see the near future, what with your dogs, what how do you envision your program now?
I want to just like, because like I just want to get this breed out in Canada. There are a couple here in Canada. There's in more here. There's two that live on the island, and then there's two more that live somewhere in the interior BC, I believe. And I just want these dogs to be known. They're very known in the States. People know what they are, but I tell people American Molossus, they are like, what is that? They have no idea. So I just want to be like, I want to show people that these breed like what they can do and how like amazing family dogs they are. That's the biggest thing. Like I want them to go to like families or like people that have a lot of time for their dogs. Like that's what like because like these dogs do personally in my experience feed off of a like they feed off of affection. They love affection. And I want people to be able to give them the time that they deserve because for how much you love a dog, you can almost triple that. That's how much that dog loves you. So if I can give these dogs to homes that will like provide them with love and care and all that stuff, like that's really for me, that's the biggest thing that I want is I just want these dogs to go to good homes and get this dog breed publicized and get to show people that they're not just big, lazy, sloppy dogs because they're not. People just don't know that because they don't really haven't read on it. They just like to disrespect you because they're big. It's like, no, man, these dogs are a lot more to it than just big, hefty, hardy, full of skin animals. Like they have a purpose and they're great at their purpose. They are very good at protecting your home and they're very good at loving their companions. So that's honestly the thing for me. And I want to like just produce happy, like good, healthy dogs. That is what I want. That's like, to the best of my abilities, I want to produce healthy Molossus people love, and they can't say anything about them.
What is your future plans? You know, with getting more dogs and your infrastructure and all that.
Mhm.
I like hearing about those stories from people that are starting
Yeah,
a brand new program.
absolutely. So I do need to get an English Mastiff because you always want to have like I have my Neo F1 breeding stock, and then I need a English for an F1 breeding stock. So I need that, and then I need to I'm gonna need to keep couple females off of like this next litter. Probably just one female off of Elvira, and then another female off of Izzy. And just because then I can keep building my program because females don't breed forever. And I personally stop at like two litters. And if they can do a third, okay, I will. But these dogs have to be C-sectioned because they're just so big and they get tired and you can risk a heart attack by them having to push out 10 puppies. It gets hard on the dog. especially at that size. Like Elvira, I think sitting at like 217 right now. So that's a lot. So like as you like when you keep C-sectioning them, the more you keep cutting them, their birth canal shrinks and the fertility will go down because you can't fit as many puppies in the womb anymore. And I just don't agree with cutting my dog open like 4, 5, 6 times. Like that's just not what I like to do. It's just me personally. So I kind of stop it depending on the age too. The age is a big thing. Usually younger dogs can produce more, like 3 litters probably, but an older dog, you can probably only get 2 out of them, in my personal stance. If a dog's healthy, can do more than that. By all means, I'm not saying that people shouldn't do that, but this is just my personal view on it. So you got to have like puppies for the future. So like as I keep a puppy off of Izzy, keep a puppy with Elvira, I can breed Izzy again and let those puppies grow up. And then as Izzy's coming near her done time, that puppy will already be matured. And then I can breed it. And then I probably won't have another male for quite a while here because I have 2 male Molossus and one male Neo. So I'll probably try and co-own a male with somebody. So then I can write a contract up and say, hey, I need to use the dog for a breeding, just so I don't have to have so many males on my yard. I don't males they're aggressive towards other males sometimes. So I just want to like kind of mitigate that worry of aggression and stuff. So by co-owning, I can have males that I can use, but I don't have to like feed them and take care of them. So that's pretty much it. And then like just have like a male from Elvira's litter and then have a male from Izzy's litter and then be able to breed the 2 together. Cause that's like, and then with Bronx too, cause like Elvira and Moose and Izzy, they're all close in line bred. So Moose is a half nephew to Elvira, I believe. So that's like that's not like too close, but it's line breeding. And then Bronx, he's completely like almost completely outcross. Really, he doesn't have that same kind of blood. So by having him, I can outcross in there by line. Once I line breed, I can outcross into something else, into like put Bronx into there. So that'll create like my type of Molossus because I'm trying to create my own. That's why I want to get a Neo. I have my Neo and then I want to get an English because I want to kind of create my own type. Like, because like if you notice, like every Molossus, like everybody has I breed them. Everybody has their own type. They all kind of look similar because it's all from like the same line, and it's cool to see. Like Izzy and Elvira look quite similar, and then you got Moose that he's got the bone structure, but he doesn't look the same. And then Bronx, he doesn't look like. I don't think he looks like any of them, to be honest. So it's kind of cool to see the different like types that you can make through like new blood and stuff. It's kind of like an open canvas. As long as you follow the standard that is produced by Marcus, then you can produce within that standard different types of Molossus. There's black, there's brindle, and then there's black brindle. There is fawn too, but that's a recessive gene that we are trying to breed out. So it happens, they come out fawn, but like it's a recessive gene that we need to get rid of because that's from the English. But they're only really black brindle and brindle. So if I can create like a new type of body structure or like kind of like a new type, that's kind of what I want to do.
And with the fawn, is it just because it mimics too much of the English and they don't want to go? What is there a reason? Other reasons for it, or
So yeah, there's like it's a gene pool. So if like for some reason that like let's say you breed a like so Bronx's dad is fawn, Autu, and he bred to a brindle like Bronx, his mother Xena, and they produce no fawns. But then a Molossus like the Molossus that produced Autu, I think it was I can't remember the name of the female and I can't remember the name of the male, but it was a Neo and a because Autu is only 50% Molossus, I believe, or like 75%. So But the other one was like his mom was a Molossus, but his dad was a Neo, and then I guess I'm thinking the Molossus had some gene of the fawn in there, and then it produced fawn. Because then the Neo must have had a gene that, not a fawn gene, because Neos don't come in fawn, but they must have had a gene that complemented the other gene and produced fawn. The fawns are really cool. I do really like them, but it's just not the standard.
Yeah.
It's not what they're it's not what they're supposed to be. So we don't really want to like breed something that they're not, that they weren't.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
For sure.
it's more of like just making sure you follow the standard and everything. So the fawns are cool, but you kind of want to get away from the fawns because the black and the black brindle and the brindle is what their colors are.
Yeah. So when you are about to set to keep a couple of puppies, what are you looking for in those puppies? What genetic
So
traits you're looking for?
for me, when Elvira and Moose's litter, I'm looking for a female that has the best traits of both of them because they both have very little big bones, big head, nice structure, and then temperament. Temperament is like, because I want like a nice happy medium. Because some puppies come out very super duper like dominant. They just do. It's in every breed. My Borbles, I had Borble puppies that were more dominant than others. Some of them were more passive, some of them were more dominant. So I want like one that's like can be dominant, not dominant, can be like guard oriented, but like also like sweet. So you kind of test out when they hit about like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, kind of like through different like toy games and like see how they react with food and like feeding other puppies. Some of them will try and butt the other puppies out, see what like kind of stuff like that. So you kind of like test their limits of like what is like good. And then I like for the clients, I like to kind of like talk to them, ask questions, see what kind of puppy would best fit their lifestyle. So that's kind of like for me, I personally like a happy medium, but bone size is like I want their bone size large, their head large, not too much skin, but not no skin. Nice top line, all kind of things like that. Just like for the breed standard, more stuff like that.
Structure wise, with the dogs, what are some of the, like, I know Neos don't have always the greatest rears, so finding a dog with good rears is difficult.
Yeah,
And
it is.
what is that kind of similar with the Molossus, and what are you really trying to focus on structurally?
I'm looking for like a nice balance between like a proportioned. I don't want a too chest heavy and shoulder heavy dog because then their legs looks tiny. They look like sticks. So I want a nice proportioned dog. So they have good like back leg muscles and a nice chest, deep chest. And like I want them just to look proportioned. And like obviously you can never like I actually haven't many like I don't have like when I stack my dogs, like the Molossus, I don't have to kick their back legs back very much to get their top line straight. I'm very lucky in that sense. It's very easy to get their top line straight, but like with my Borble, his like butt end is like it's crazy. Stacking him is like you can clearly see there's a slope. So it's honestly like I'm very lucky. My dogs are very structurally sound. I really don't have right now anything that like I I want them big, but not like I want them to be able like their stomach to be able to tuck up, not be like overbearingly over. But and this is what I wanted to touch on too is like people talk about oh they're too heavy. Oh, doesn't that cause like hip dysplasia, elbow dysplasia, stuff like that? In most some dogs, sure, but you got to think that these dog structures are built to hold that weight. You can look at a dog and know that they are structurally sound to be able to hold 240 pounds because they can. And like as they get older, yeah, you take some weight off. But like a dog, what I find in my dogs will only eat to what they want to eat and like what they feel is necessary. Like Nico, for example, like Marcus's male there, I don't know if you've seen him, he's 310 pounds. He can hold that weight. It his legs and everything is structurally sound enough to be able to hold that weight. Like they have the structure to be able to hold 200 plus pounds. They do. And like it's all looking at the dog and knowing what they can hold. Some dogs will be able to hold less, some dogs will be able to hold more. Nico is literally the biggest dog that I've ever seen on a like picture. He's insane. But he can hold that weight. He doesn't look fat. He's just huge because of his structure, his bone structure. That's basically what it is, honestly. Like, but for structure wise, I just want the proportion. I don't want their head to be too big where it looks too big on their body, but I don't want it to be too small where they look too small on their body. I want their back end and front end to be very proportioned. It should be very muscular, very defined in the shoulder. Their back leg should have the indent between the two muscles in the legs. So it's pretty much what I like. And I want their top line to be nice and straight, not having to kick their legs out way too much where it looks like they're basically almost doing a split and gonna lay down. These dogs are like carburetors. They like I haven't realized there's any sensitivities in their stomachs. Like my Borbal, he's allergic to chicken. He's allergic to, like he'll break out in hives and it's brutal. You know, the thing people ask me about raw, oh raw. Yeah, raw works for like if you wanna if you're feeding like a pound puck every meal, these dogs will eat like 5-6 pounds of raw each meal because it doesn't like the calories isn't as big influence as like kibble, let's say. Like raw is a very like nat and I found like they don't they don't have the nice like they don't emulate what a molossus is when they're on raw. They're very skinny. They more look like a corso, for instance, because they're very lean. They don't have that girth. Like so I feed kibble, like I feed Kirkland brand kibble. It's very I've had very great success with it. All my dogs love it. It's healthy. It keeps them all good. Like, and then I cook meat up and I mix it in there because I know like if you put raw meat in there, let's say your dog doesn't eat it for a couple minutes, whatever, you got flies or something, that fly lands on there. There you go. There's a gateway to like get some sort of salmonella, something like to get like some sort of like issue. So I cook the meat and then I mix it in there and they go to town. Like and they eat a lot too. So you got to find a food that is good but also cost effective. That like you don't like cause some foods you can get a very cheap food, but it lacks every single nutrient that the dog needs. Like it's for me is like my big male outside, he eats 12 cups of kibble a day, plus 2.5 pound or no, a pound and a half of like cooked meat. You think you're feeding? If I'm feeding that dog, I'm gonna go through a box of raw food just on that dog. Let alone not feeding all my other ones raw. Like I went through raw with my Borbal too. I did. I fed like a raw diet on him, and it just they don't look like, in my opinion, people feed raw and the dogs look great. It's is what it is. It's all your dog and what it is. But he looked very like lean and sluggish and just like didn't seem like he was like it wasn't benefiting him too much. I didn't find.
Yeah, it's a balance with these dogs, and you got to do what's best for them, and no matter what the fad says, or
Oh, yeah.
they may look great with their coat and all that sort of stuff, but you don't know internally, and and then eventually you're going to see a dog that that doesn't look great anymore, and despite their poop being clay like or whatever they say
Or
it
like
is.
tiny or whatever.
Yeah. I, Whatever, you're not doing your dog a service in the long run most of the time, and if it works for you, you're lucky. You're one of the few. Like
Yep.
I listen to there's University of or no, Texas A&M. They have a livestock guardian dog program that they actually do research. It's a college funded, federal grant funded thing where they're raising dogs and amongst the livestock to watch the maneuvers and which dogs work best for which farm, and what animals and what breeds. And so they've got, and they are completely against the raw food diet because of the lack of ability of maintaining a healthy, functional dog. And so
Mhm.
those are the kinds of people that I would rather listen to instead of these
Absolutely.
internet stars.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. So you talk about how much you do feed them, and how does that vary from each dog to dog?
So it kind of depends on like, so Moose, when I got him, he was a little bit like underfed, which is, it happens. When you get a big dog, people don't realize how much it costs to feed these animals. And then it kind of just, so he's on 12 cups a day with cooked meat. My boy Bronx back here, he is on 10 because he's still younger than Moose. Moose is 2.5. He's 18 months. So he's on 10. Elvira eats about um what's Elvira eat? She actually doesn't eat that much. People think she eats like a crazy amount. She's a big girl, but she doesn't eat that much. She really only, I think she only eats about like 7, 8 cups. I mean, it's still quite a bit, but she doesn't. And then Izzy, my growing female, she eats about, I think, no, Bronx eats about like 11, and then Izzy eats 10. But then she also eats my Corso's food because he just backs away and walks away because she's the boss. And then my Neo eats about the same. He eats no, a little less because he's not as big of a stature dog. He eats about 8 right now, and as they keep growing, it will, like, his dogs will give tells when they're okay. I'm growing again. I need more food. They will, like, I notice, like, they'll pot their bowl, so then I won't. I'll add another scoop maybe, and then I'll supplement it more. So like all my dogs get raw meat. I mean, not raw meat, cooked meat too. Um, but I'll supplement more in there for them once they seem like they are gaining weight more and getting bigger and growing, because I don't want to stunt their growth by not feeding them enough. I want to make sure they get all the nutrients that they need. So without overfeeding. So
Yeah, that's for sure. So how much food do you go through, and how much do you buy at one time?
we buy about 4 bags at one time, and that probably lasts us about maybe 2 weeks. Maybe 2 weeks. We're probably right now spending about, like, now with Moose a little bit more, probably about $750 a month on food. So it gets up there, but the food, the Kirkland bags too, they're huge.
Yeah.
They're very big bags, so it's nice to get those big bags because they last longer.
Mm.
And I'm not diminishing anything out of it because they meet all the standards of good food. So the puppy food at Kirkland is a little bit, I don't use it for my puppies, but that's a little bit shady. It's the adult food is better than the puppy food. So
Yeah, for sure. I think that yeah, people don't realize how expensive dog food has become. On top of when you are owning multiple big dogs like that, it's good to hear because you got to keep people honest with themselves. Like if you're not prepared, these size of dogs aren't for you. Get
absolutely.
get yourself a Chihuahua.
Feeding one of them is even like for like somebody that's not breeding, feeding one of them is hard sometimes.
Yeah,
Like because they eat so much.
yeah. So what are some of the things that you could see happening as far as the breed in Canada is concerned, and because you said your goal is to get these more known in Canada, what do you think some of the roadblocks are right now with that?
So it's like just publicity wise, like people just don't know, like, cause like the difference in, like, I find in Canada and the States love big dogs. Canada would rather go on Kijiji and buy a $500 dog. They just would. That's like they're not looking for these like big time, or like a lab. A lot of people have labs and like golden retrievers and stuff like that. So it's publicity wise. We trying to get them recognized by these kennel clubs like the CKC, the AKC, trying to get them recognized by them. They are recognized by I think about 6 registries now, but it's just getting them because like there's a little like the AKC has to accept them before the CKC does. I don't know why, but that's just what they told me on the phone, which is like I filled out everything that they wanted and they kind of told me they needed more. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I'm just trying to get all that in line, but it's basically the AKC has to accept them before the CKC. And it's that is a big thing. I want to in the near future create my own kennel club for the Molossus because I love how like I want to do it with Marcus and like that's how like SABS is the South African Border Breeder Society, and they were a thing before any of the big registries accepted them because they had to do their own because none of them would accept the Borbal because they just weren't a breed. They didn't people didn't look at it as a breed. So I want to start my own. So then we have our own, but then we can also be registered with the AKC and CKC because they're like, oh, this is a. It's almost like okay, this dog is well known now. We basically have to accept them. So it's kind of stuff like that, just like getting the dog more out there. They're out there in the States. It's just Canada is where it's really like tough to, because people just don't know. Unless you're on like social media, see Marcus, Facebook, all that stuff, you don't really know. So that's why I kind of in Canada want to be the guy that like, look, Molossus, look, they're amazing dogs. Come see my dogs. I love when people want to come see my dogs. I love it. I love showing them off. Yeah, this is the dog. So it's kind of stuff like that, just with the registries and stuff, because I feel like that'll be a big step for the Molossus with those big registries. So everybody knows what the AKC and CKC is. But I also want to make sure that they maintain the same standard that it is written. Don't go and change it because that's not the standard. I want the standard that is written right now to be the standard for the Molossus. I don't want it changed.
Mm-hmm. Um, what about the ABKC? Are they has there been efforts on that end or?
I don't know about that one. I know it's I know the USBR has been a big one in the Molossus. I think WBBA. I think World. No, that's the Borbles. Um, there's some other ones that I just can't think of off the top of my head right now. But that's the thing too is Canada doesn't have registries like the States does. They don't have like all breed registries like that. It's weird. I've looked and looked and looked and looked, and I can't find a registry that I can get them registered in Canada for. I can't. I've looked, and like it's almost like all the registries that'll accept like all breeds are in the States. Canada does not have them, so
So
that means that's why I want to start one.
so, so yeah, you're looking more. I mean, your dogs are registrable. You just have to go to a registry in the United States. Is that what?
Yeah, yeah. So like right now, most of my dogs are registered with USPR. Arba, that's the other one too. Arba is one that registers the Molossus too. Um, so yeah, the USBR is pretty much the one that I think the Marcus goes through the most. I do too. All my dogs are registered with the USBR, have pedigrees and everything. But I want to start my own so then like we can register our dogs with our own kennel club and also register other dogs. Like it can be an all breed registry. And I want to like appraise and all that stuff with these dogs. Like I love like I want to show these dogs, but I want to make sure that it stays on the standard that we have. I don't want it to get changed. So that's kind of where I'm kind of goal too is like getting a registry like for like me because like I want to like have something in Canada. Not I have no problem. I will register my dogs with the USPR for sure, but I want to have something for me personally because Canada doesn't have that. And just for people in Canada that want to register dogs with a kennel club in Canada. and like America can come register with them too. It's I want it to be like how Canadians can register with America and America can register with Canada.
Yeah, and it's good promotion too, if you like you're
Yeah.
saying. So how many breeders would you say with American Molossus would be in Canada?
So,
Just
oh, in Canada, I don't think there's any breeder. There was a lady that bred bullies. I don't know if you know mega built bullies.
I think I've heard the name. Yeah.
So they're in near me here, and they did have a litter of Molossus, but they don't breed Molossus. And then there's another like man that I know on the island that has two Molossus. He's never bred. So basically, right now, I'm the only like actual breeder in Canada.
Hmm.
So
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's cool to be on the ground floor or something. And you said the dog culture is a little different than like in Canada. It's kind of more like European, would you say?
well,
Or
it's more of uh, like just more people don't like size. I notice like people would rather have like a lab because a
yeah,
lot of people out here hunt, so they
yeah,
like hunting dogs, labs, golden retrievers. They love golden retrievers. I actually like don't see. Before I had my Neo, I'd never seen a Neo before in person, never. And an English Mastiff, I only knew of one that I seen, and that was pretty much it. And like I've been told back like before I was breeding and when I was young, Canada actually was like a powerhouse for like Neos and like English Mastiff. Like there was TD Chang's Neos, and he had Grand Champion Neos. He doesn't breed anymore. I think he's passed away now.
mm,
And then Rockport Mastiffs, they're like literally like probably about an hour away from me. They stopped breeding too, but their English Mastiffs were exactly what an English Mastiff is. Like there's a lot of like they had amazing dogs. And I don't. People just get out of the breeding game. It's not. It's like when you've been doing it for so long. Sometimes you just don't want to do it anymore.
yeah. There's a huge sacrifice that people make when you've got live animals at home. You really have to have that kind of
Passion.
even if you're not born into it, you really have to have that farmer mindset.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
because
Absolutely, I agree. That was like I don't even like. I don't have like a farming background or anything. Not even a dog breeding background. I just love dogs and just fell in love with it. That's how I got into it. But that's a lot of like, and people have a lot of farm dogs here. Like ah, what are they called? Border collies.
yeah, a lot of
A lot of
broke.
border collies here, like sheeping dogs, like stuff like that. A lot of like I've seen it. There's a Kangal. I know about a Kangal that lives here. I love Kangals. Those dogs are amazing. I and Alibi Shepherds. I love those too. But yeah, like a lot of people just gear towards more of like the breed that has more been like, oh, great family dog, great family dog. That's why for me, I want to promote that these dogs are family dogs because people gear towards that. I personally find like my Borbals went to almost all families.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that I'm a big proponent of that. In today's society, you've got to look at what's going on. We're becoming more and more urbanized, and we have our properties are smaller and smaller. We don't have homesteads like even when I was a kid. It was a little more. Prominent and even in
Hmm.
closer to the city to have somebody that has 8-10 acres, that's no more. um, it's evolution, and you could say it's positive, negative, and I don't have like any kind of like opinion on that really. I'm a city guy, but I value small town country life at the
Hmm.
same time. But I just know that this is the way it is, and so when you're in livestock like dogs, I consider livestock, you have to be mindful of what society's needs are.
Yep.
And uh, they don't need a dog that's going to be hyper aggressive and overly active. You know what I mean? and you see um, uh, rescues filled with those kinds of dogs,
You do.
hyperactive, overly aggressive
Yeah.
dogs, and it's a lot of it comes from people who thought they wanted something, but they can't handle it, and
Can't
so
handle it, no.
we're just not in that mindset. We're a lot of us are working more, and it's more stress because we're doing more at work, and so we've got the
Absolutely.
stress. So we don't need the stress of dealing with some of those things that you and I would put up with because we love the dog so much, but your consumer isn't going to put up with. But I think that having that mindset of thinking family companion first and then everything else. What do you see? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Is with this program?
Oh, I hopefully I'm like I still doing it. Like I hope I can like keep going and like kind of have a family. I always thought like when I get a family, I want my kids to take over this. Like I want it to be like a thing that keeps going because I don't ever want to like stop doing it. Like I want to do it as long as I possibly can. If it's like obviously things can happen like the economy and all that stuff, it can fall, but it's as long as I can like have like, and I'm not here to like pump out like 6 7 litters a year. I'll have like, if I can, I only have two females, so only I'll be able to produce 2 litters a year maybe, and that's okay with me because it's all going to lead up to something bigger, and eventually I'll be able to, because it's not about money for me either. I just love doing it. It's just a passion. So like it's I feel like people that breed for money get out of the game a lot quicker because they realize it's not a big money game. It's the people that do it because they love the dogs is when they stay. I just love doing it. I enjoy going outside, walking with my dogs, chilling with my dogs. Like I really like I just enjoy showing people what I can produce with my dogs. And I love showing off my dogs. I don't do it for money. Money's nice, but you're not going to make a crazy amount of money in dog breeding because you think you sell a puppy for, let's say, 5 grand. You have 10 puppies, you sell one puppy. Where does all that money go back into? It goes right back into the puppies that you have. So in 10 years, I hope I'm breeding. I hope my kennel's very established. I hope I'm a well-known, reputable breeder. I hope I can like I have a lot of success stories. Um, Yeah, and I just hope like I can keep the lines going. Like I don't have to like constantly keep changing the lines. I want my lines to be solid throughout. Like I can look back on a pedigree and 10 years down the road, Elvira's still on that pedigree or Bronx is still on that pedigree. They're still there because that's who those are my like those are the foundation dogs that I started with. So I want to keep their lineage.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's just that's a noble and realistic mindset. You know what I mean? That yeah.
Thank
So
you.
um, one of the last questions I have is this a family affair? Do you have people that help you out with the program or?
Yeah, so I do it with my dad. I do it with my dad. I mean, it's more me. I'm the one that runs like the Instagram, the kennel, the dogs. But I work, so my dad helps me so much. Like I couldn't do this without him. People get into dog breeding alone and they think it's easy. It's not. You
No,
can't breed dogs alone. You need at least two people
yeah,
because it's you. If you have puppies, you won't sleep. If you have just you won't sleep. You have to be with them for the first 10 days, and you need to make sure that mom is good. Mom doesn't try and kill them. Mom feeds them. You got to make sure they're fed. Like you gotta. It's a two-man job for sure, if three. So yeah, I do it with my dad. Me and my dad do this together.
that's
So
awesome.
it's
Yeah,
great. I love it.
yeah, that's such a nice thing to have and cherish every moment that you can.
Exactly.
Both my parents are passed,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and so when you just remember those frustrating moments that you could have with your parents,
Mhm.
just chalk it up as like, you know, I got to get over it. There's only a finite amount of time we have with each other, so
100%.
so yeah, just cherish that. That's great. It's a good thing to hear.